So I am joined by our speakers at one of our CLOC speaking sessions, Evolve or Get Left Behind. I'm joined by Siddarth Shah, who is the Director of AI and Automation at Intel and Legal Ops, and Aaron Von Nies, who is the Director of Legal, Regulatory Affairs and Compliance at ADM, who are going to be speaking on our panel later today. And I thought I'd get them to come and share about what we're going to talk about at the panel, give you a bite-sized appreciation of where we're going, but also hear about your CLOC experience so far. So welcome.
Thank you for inviting. It's a great experience. This is my second CLOC.
Yeah.
I love the energy, going by booth, understanding the sessions, and then it's everywhere I'm hearing AI. So it's a fun experience. I love the energy.
Yeah, definitely. It's AI all the time, right? So it's like everyone's talking about it. It's on every sign you see. So it's pretty exciting. I'm excited to talk this afternoon about how it's impacting our organization and Legal Ops specifically, but also the whole legal department. So I'm pretty excited to be here.
Well, something I've been asking all of our guests today is, what is the most on-point thing you've heard said at the conference so far?
I think what's exciting to me is every legal tech vendor is coming up with the newest technologies, bringing into their product. I think that's really exciting, and to see what problems we can actually solve with technology, I think that's just fascinating to me.
Yeah, I think I attended a session this morning where we talked quite a bit about prompting and the importance of prompting and reprompting and retesting, and I think some people overestimate the ability of the tools versus the actual time it takes to do the prompting and put the kind of the energy into, and with both attorneys and the technology experts doing it together versus just thinking you're going to put a technology in place and kind of walk away.
Yeah, it's always great to have sort of the big picture sessions as well as the really tactical, this is how you do things sessions at these shows. Would you each mind sharing a little bit about your AI programs in your businesses, sort of the Cliff's Note version of what you've done, what you've been thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, we have implemented, we have a lot of tools, but what we are building in the AI roadmap is building an agents at an orchestration layer on top of the tools that we have currently. Mm-hmm. Every product is coming up with their own AI, but I think we need an orchestration layer. So we are building that orchestration layer for different agents to interact with the existing tools and data.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this orchestration layer? Like, what are the key capabilities, just for those who haven't,
So we'll talk more in the afternoon.
Yeah.
The vision or the roadmap is UI for AI, which is your one legal front door. And then there's an orchestration layer which has all the agents that sit on the existing tools and data. So from my front door, legal front door, I want to perform a particular task or an action, then that respective agent will connect to the tools and data and then perform the process or the task that agent is supposed to perform, versus I have to go in each and every tool to do that separately, and that's the orchestration layer that we are building. One front door orchestration layer on top of our tools and data.
I like it. One place to go.
Yeah, we're at the other end of the spectrum for sure. We're looking at how we can organize ourselves to actually put the tools and the foundation in place. So we have some basic tools, and it's really about building capacity to allow us to do more, so we can keep building off that our foundation, which is way less technical than probably where you guys are at in your journey. Our journey is just beginning, honestly, and it's about how do we put the right resources and the right tech in place to advance what we're going to accomplish.
So something we're going to talk about at our session, I really like this concept that you had around deterministic automation versus AI and large generative AI versus agentic solutions, and actually depending on what you're trying to achieve, AI is not the solution for everything. I think you mentioned like 50% of your use cases actually just required deterministic automation. Yes. Can you kind of explore some of that ideas with our listeners?
So I know everyone's doing AI and generative AI, but there's a lot of tasks that need which are repetitive, mundane, high volume tasks that legal ops, paralegals perform every day on a day-to-day basis that really don't require AI. So that's where I come in and speak, like that's deterministic automation, which means you have step 1 to 10 and it's the same process, it doesn't change, it's repetitive, and you're doing the same thing every day. That's where we use automation, which is RPA, robotic process automation, where you don't need AI. It's a script-based automation which automates mundane, repetitive processes every day. And then on the other spectrum, so this is the deterministic, the AI workflow where you have the same 10 steps, but on step 5 you need to call an LLM for reasoning, text summarization, or for some extraction of data. That's where you use generative AI, which is still in the middle between deterministic and non-deterministic. It's semi-deterministic. And on the right hand of the spectrum is more agents, which is goal-oriented. You give a goal, and then agents define their path using tools, LLM, and memory. So that's the concept we use. And not everything is AI.
Yeah, I love that you're pointing that out because you get a much more consistent result.
Absolutely.
With something that's a little bit more hard-coded, and also it's a lot more efficient. You don't need a trillion parameter LLM to tell you how to add, say, some numbers together.
Very true.
Aaron, I wanted to talk to you about, so you've been in legal ops for a really long time, and you've sort of seen the space evolve. You've seen law firm rates shift, billing shift. With this AI transformation, how are you guys looking at shifting work within ADM and how you're doing legal sourcing?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the key things we are looking at doing is how do we internalize work with the tools that we have, pulling those from our law firms, but it's also partnering with our law firms to really understand what the capabilities are in the legal space, and then determining whether that's better to be in-house or better to provide that value, still being outside, but being at a much lower cost driver, so to speak. So it's still a balance. I think we're still trying to figure it out, but it's definitely a shift I've seen in the last year specifically, where people are much more comfortable with the AI tools, much more comfortable with law firms using those tools, and now it's like, how do we take advantage of that?
And you guys have been a little bit more forward-leaning with wanting your vendors and advisors to use AI. Like, how are you doing that? You putting into
RFPs?
Yeah,
we sent out notes to all of our major firms early this year, late last year, basically promoting that we wanted them to use them. We wanted to track the use cases. We want to understand how they're using it. And most importantly, we want to drive the efficiency for the tasks that they're doing for us. So it's been pretty successful. Some firms said we had no idea you wanted us to, and some firms like, yeah, we're already doing it for you. So it's been good, for sure.
And you shared with me that you had a peer group that 6 months ago, most of them didn't want their law firms to use AI, and that shifted really quickly. Yeah,
I'm part of a couple different networking groups, and there was a survey that went out even, I think 6 months ago, and it was less than 50-50 were promoting use of AI, and as of January, it's like 90% the other way. So it's definitely a big shift, and a big acceptance of these are the tools, kind of like TAR and other stuff in the past, where people, like, once you get on board, everybody's moving towards that. So it's pretty exciting.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Do either of you have any sort of last words or sound bites you want to share with our listeners from our session later today, or words of advice on their AI journey?
On the AI journey, I would say I have a concept of an AI heat map. So technology is an enabler, but you need to know your practice areas, your use cases, the ROI, the pain points, and then use AI as the enabler. So principles that we work on is think big, but fail fast. Right? So try it out and see what works for you.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. It's kind of tangential. What I'm saying is that, this afternoon, is I think we really need to have an entrepreneurial mindset. You really need to get your attorneys and your internal staff to really think differently than they have in the past. And that's a risk for them to get out of their comfort zone. So it's really, how do you push those people? How do you create that environment for them to do that successfully?
All right. Thank you so much, Aaron and
Thank
Sid.
you.
I look forward to our conversation this afternoon. And enjoy the show.
Thank you for having us here. Thank you.